Welcome to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, the home for financial advice in a language you can understand. Created by Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial, he and his team of certified financial planner professionals will discuss timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. And now, get ready for this week's edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial. My name is Marc Freedman.
And I'm Marion Gilman.
And we're here to provide you with some financial advice in a language you can understand. Well, we just got back from a pretty interesting trip.
We certainly did. We were in Philadelphia, but more importantly, we were at the Wharton School.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
It was really fun.
It's a beautiful campus in
It
Philadelphia,
really is,
Pennsylvania. It's a trip that we have been very fortunate as, I guess, one of LPL's top offices to get invited to this conference year after year after year after year. I think I've been going for 20 plus years to this thing.
Easily, yeah.
And we go to a different college campus every year. Last year we were at Duke,
which was great.
And this year we went back to Wharton. We've been there a couple times actually.
Right. And you know, you get the advantage when we go to these schools. There's a team of professors from the school who teach us, as well as, having, in a similar fashion to what they do with their graduate students, which is really fascinating.
And I was reminded by sitting through some of these lectures, and there's 150 of us that get invited to this program, and the professors are some of the best known professors at the Wharton School that lead these. But the conversations are generally around helping business owners like us, or leaders of businesses, think about how to grow, how to expand, how to differentiate yourself as a business entity in a very competitive field like financial services.
Exactly, and how to prepare yourself for the future. To actually, one of the words that they used there was momentum. So, you really want to develop a momentum so that you grow, you grow and adapt and change over time relative to the market conditions, to the, the customer needs. So it was fascinating. It always is.
What was interesting to me is that, and I was reminded from when I went to Babson, and when I was at business school, they actually ask you to put yourself in the seat of the CEO, but the CEO of a large company, where your job is not to deal with the retail client, the person who actually buys your product or service. You're thinking about the strategy of how do we build this thing out. Yeah. And that's how they continue to try to talk to us. And in our business, it's tough.
Right, it really is. And because day to day, Marc and I are much more focused on the client and the client's needs. And we're meeting with clients each and every day. So we're not, we have a hard time stepping back, and we don't always have an opportunity to step back and say, okay, let's look at the big picture. What's going on? What should be our strategy, or what should be our goal for the next 10 years or 15 years or however long it might be?
Yeah, and so, there was a book called The E-Myth.
Oh,
and they used to talk about working in the business and working on the business.
Right.
And when you're dealing with the day-to-day minutiae of your business, you're working in the business.
Right.
So how often do you get to step back and think about working on the business? And it made me think about, it's difficult to do it in our life, because as much as Marion and I want to sit down and maybe have a little retreat or a meeting that we talk about, how do we want to move forward? The phone rings, or a client walks in the door, or something happens, and we need to address an issue, and so we break away from that.
And that's our immediate concern. We don't want to leave people hanging.
Right, but the same thing happens in every aspect of our life. Think about parenthood.
Yeah.
You think to yourself, where do you really think about strategizing on how you're going to be a better parent? Now, you could read all the books you want on strategy of parenting, and you can go to seminars, and you can watch YouTube videos. But as soon as you start to try to implement something, a dish falls off the table, or you get a phone call from one of your kids, and it just destroys everything you've been working about.
It interrupts it all. It's the implementation that's the problem.
It is the hardest part.
It's easy to come up with ideas and plans and develop all of that, but then you actually have to do it. Tough thing.
It is very hard.
Right.
So one of the things that they talked about at Wharton was this idea of having, your business is a thing that sits here in the middle. But how do you protect your business from other competitors coming into your business.
Like creating a moat, and you think of a castle, let's create a moat around it. I guess they put alligators in it once.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Sharks
or whatever it is.
Anyways, create a moat. So you create what's called a barrier to entry.
Right. And so that's what Marion and I and all of us in the room tried to think about of our own business. What is it that is our secret sauce? What is it that we do that is our moat, that makes us unique so other firms cannot really invade what we've developed in
our
space and the clients that we have.
Right.
And it made us reflect on the fact that we have been told that we have a 99% retention rate at our firm of clients for the past 20 years.
Which is extraordinary.
Really extraordinary. And when we shared that
for the business
with other advisors, we were floored to find out how many holes there might be or bridges or whatever it is in their moat, because they're not holding on to clients as long as we are.
Right.
And so we started to try to understand what is it that we do that makes us so successful and our clients so confident that they want to stay in the castle with us. So what do you think it is, Marion?
Yeah, so one of the things that we stress, and we always do this with each and every client that comes to the office, we want to be sure we understand what you have, everything you own, everything you owe. So we want to know where everything is, all of your financial accounts, needs, whatever, and also what it's worth. And we want to verify that that information is correct. It's not enough to say to us, oh, well, I have, $500,000 there, $50,000 here. We want to see proof that that is actually what's out there.
Yeah, because one of the big questions that pops up a lot is this idea of fiduciary.
Right.
People will ask us, well, Marc, Marion, are you a fiduciary? Because that's all we hear about.
Right.
And when you hear the term fiduciary, people say, well, that must mean you place the interests of your clients first. Well, could you imagine a financial advisor ever saying to you, nah, I don't place your interests first. I place mine first.
But on the other hand, think about this. How are they placing your interests first if they don't know where everything is and what you're worth?
And that's our point, because most financial advisors, and even the folks that I talk to in Pennsylvania, they are doing what's called piecemeal investment management.
Right.
They have a client that comes to them with a particular problem. I just inherited some money. I have a rollover from my company plan. My advisor just retired and I need you to take over this account. Well, we'll get those kinds of calls. But if all that they want to talk about is that unique, that individual piece,
and what the investments
are, that's not a good solution for Freedman Financial.
Absolutely.
And it's not a good solution for you if you're looking for a fiduciary.
That's correct. And even if you're not, it's not a good solution for you. Because how can you create a good investment account for somebody, a good portfolio, a good asset allocation, if you have no idea what else they might have and what purpose this money is going to serve?
Yeah, when I started to explain to folks, and we do this a lot, but we started to talk to folks about what is it that you talk to your clients about in a review meeting, in an initial meeting, everything that they talked about was their investment strategy. And I was shocked. These are successful advisors.
Very successful.
And when I asked them about, do you review your clients' pay stubs? Pay stubs. Why would I look at their pay stubs? Do you look at their tax returns? I don't know how to read a tax return. You look at their investment account. Well, what are you looking at in their investment account? Well, I want to look at their risk tolerance, their asset allocation. Well, that's nice, but if all you're doing is looking at the statement, how do you really understand what their risk, what their investment allocation, everything is, if you don't know where everything is and what everything is worth? Because most people have a net worth that goes beyond the investment that they're putting in front of you.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that always amazes me is how many advisors talk about the investable net worth of their clients. And that investable net worth means the investments that they have with you, not all the other investments, not the value of the house, not the cash value of life insurance policies, not annuities, not the money they have outside, the 401ks they have at work, the benefits that they might have coming if they retire, Social Security, all of this other stuff. They don't look at it. And I'm like, how can you provide financial planning and investment management advice as a fiduciary if you don't know where everything is and what everything is worth before you ever make a recommendation for anything?
You can't.
Well, they can because they are.
Well, they are, but yes. But you can't make an educated decision, and you're not serving the client's needs.
Right. And that, for us, is why our moat around our castle is so secure, because
we have everything.
We know where everything is.
We just recently got a call from a client whose spouse is not well, and they said, hey, do you have copies of our wills and estate planning documents? And we do. So we can help the client out in the time of an emergency when they can't access these records.
Yeah, she's not asking about what's the performance of the account for the year, or why didn't we buy X or Y investment. Yeah. They're looking to us to help them in a time of crisis, and it has nothing to do with their investment account.
Nothing.
We have copies of their estate planning documents. We have their long-term care insurance policy that they bought, not even from us, but we have a copy of it. So we have the 800 number, we have the policy number. We can give them guidance on what they need to do to file a claim.
Right.
We know the conversations that they need to have with an attorney if the time comes when someone passes away, what those steps are, what you need to do. We have copies of the tax return to help them think about, hey, if you need to take some money out of the account, where's the best place to take it?
Tax considerations, and also estate tax considerations. When you know how much a client is worth, I mean, that's critical when you're thinking about ultimately, what are we passing on to the next generation? And will there be an estate tax on our estate when we die?
Yeah, anything that touches an important financial decision in your life is something that we become a part of, or at least a person for you to bounce something off of. It can be as simple as, I want to buy a car. Should I buy or lease the car?
Right.
It could be,
should I take a loan?
Should I take a loan?
Versus paying cash.
Right.
We get that question all the time.
Does it make sense? I want to put my house up for sale. Does it make sense to start investing money in my house to potentially raise the value of my house and hopefully get a better return on my investment? Do I have the dollars to pay for that? Or I want to buy a house before I sell my current house.
How do
I do that?
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know where everything is and what everything is worth, who owns it, what the tax implications are, how can you guide a client with those decisions? Now, do we charge extra for that, Marion?
We don't.
We don't. That's right.
Nope.
It's included as part of the fee that you pay us.
But we find that, clients rely on us to have all of that information accessible when they need it. And that's the purpose. That's the ultimate goal, is that we can help a client in most financial situations.
At least we're there to provide some guidance. We have some
That's
experience. Can't solve everything,
No.
but we can at least be a sounding board to you when those times of financial decisions arise.
And that becomes even more critical if you are single or if you lose a spouse, because now, honestly, people in New England anyways, don't like to talk about money with others, even sometimes their kids. So they need somebody to bounce ideas off of. And I can't tell you how many clients will say, well, you're the only one who understands my situation and who knows, and that I can ask these questions.
And who knows where everything is.
That's correct.
And what everything is worth. So if I have to involve my kids or another generation or another outside party, I know that they can turn to you with my guidance and my approval to share all that information and help us all make an informed decision.
And we do that all the time as well.
And that's what we call financial advice in a language you can understand. Now is the time for you to get serious about your financial planning and investment management needs. We hope you'll give us a call, 978-531-8800. 978-531-8108. That's 978-531-8108. Or visit us on the web, freedmanfinancial.com. That's Freedman.
2 E's in a D.
Financial.com. And you can go to the bottom of any page on our website, put in your name and your email address, and you'll get signed up for our weekly newsletter. It lands in your inbox every Friday, 10:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. And you get to hear some great stories. The stuff that we're talking about on this podcast, you'll see it on the newsletter. In fact, there's actually a direct link to this podcast right on the newsletter.
There you go.
That's going to do it for us this week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We'll see you again next week with more dollars and cents and financial advice in a language you can understand. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Enjoy.
During today's episode of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, your host may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.